Weird science
is the revolution.
Hello, you weirdos. Jim here, and spoiler alert, I'm a big DC Comics fan. I'm not saying that things are great right now or I love every book, but I am through and through a DC comic fan. It is a big part of what I do each and every day. I love talking to people about DC Comics, and I love when people enjoy DC Comics. And right now, it's kind of hard to find people all in with DC Comics, which is funny because that is going to be their new slogan coming up. So how do you get people all in? Well, one of the things that might just do it is their Ultimate Universe, which will be called the Absolute Universe, something they've been working on for over a year now. There were a lot of rumors last summer that at San Diego Comic-Con, Scott Snyder was going to unveil what was then at points called the All-Star Universe. That has changed. It seems as it's going to be called the Absolute DC Comics Universe, and it is going to be unveiled possibly at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. And before I go on, I know there's going to be Marvel fans that roll their eyes and say, oh, there's DC again copying what Marvel's doing. Marvel having the Ultimate stuff right now. This was rumored before I ever heard anything about the Marvel Ultimate stuff, but I will not pretend that the success and outstanding over-the-top success of the Marvel Ultimate stuff hasn't pushed this as well. And really, there's no reason to roll your eyes if we get good books from both lines. That would be awesome. But the big thing, and a lot of this stuff, I'll give credit to Bleeding Cool. They've been reporting on this for quite some time. And then as you get closer to San Diego Comic-Con, they ended up having the story about this, which included what could possibly be the starting lineup for the new Scott Snyder helmed Absolute Universe. And I'll ask everybody what they think of this, if this is in fact going to be the lineup, if in fact these will be the books. I think they will. And if you think this is a good play. But it is Scott Snyder on Absolute Universe Batman, Jason Aaron on Absolute Universe Superman, and Kelly Thompson on Absolute Universe Wonder Woman. Now, I know that a lot of people probably will be upset about Kelly Thompson. I like Kelly Thompson. Kelly Thompson was a writer that I enjoyed, then became hit and miss, and now is mostly miss. But maybe this will be the thing that gets her back, because I do not like her Birds of Prey book, and I think it really shows a lack of DC Comics knowledge and also a lack of really good storytelling and progression. I think that book is a bit of a mess, though I hear a lot of people loving that. Jason Aaron, he ended up doing that little bit of Action Comics, that Bizarro story, pretty good, but he's also doing, if it ever comes out, the whole Batman Off-World, and I've loved that. I've loved it so much. Now, Scott Snyder on Batman, that's the big marquee thing. I think people will be excited about that, but I think that some people, maybe me, might be thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, we've kind of done that before. Like, why have him go back on Batman? I understand why, but maybe it would have been cool to have him on Wonder Woman to start, but I guess that doesn't have the oomph as you start out. Now, starting with the Trinity, I think that is a good move, a pretty cool move. And as this is going to be, or supposed to be, a combined universe shared continuity, you would guess that this would then lead to a couple other books and then eventually a Absolute Justice League, which would be really cool. I'd be really excited about that. Now, again, I'd love to hear from people. Do you like that lineup? If that's the lineup, would you have preferred maybe a Teen Titans book in there? Would you have preferred some other creative teams? Obviously, no artist yet mentioned, but you hope that they would get some pretty big artists there as well. But yeah, you could tell me what you would think or you would want of the creative team in the comments. Now, again, I said that this was something that has been rumored for quite some time. I remember last summer, the big thing was that they were going to announce this, and it was going to be Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron, still, and Al Ewing. And I had assumed Al Ewing would probably be doing Wonder Woman at that time, but that has changed, it seems, to Kelly Thompson. But as Bleeding Cool has said in their article, these things could change 10 times, even before San Diego Comic-Con. So we'll have to wait and see. when they do that. Now, this Absolute Universe, it is being helmed, I said, by Scott Snyder. So he's there. And this kind of worries me because it's not what I would want from anything with a shared continuity. But I think it's trying to get writers in with the promise that it'll be a hands-off affair. The writers are going to be able to do what they want with the characters, hands off, and said carte blanche of any sort of story they want to tell. And in that feels like they even say in the Bleeding Cool article, that feels a lot like the All-Star line, but that isn't a combined thing. I think that and also the idea of maybe the Earth One. A lot of people have brought up the Earth One books as, well, they had this. It was the Earth One. The Earth One books, one thing, it was just decimated by delays. That is a huge problem, and this better not have delays, especially right off the bat. But if you are a fan of the Earth One stuff, I liked it. Never felt like a combined universe because everybody was doing their own thing. It just felt like, hey, that's a cool Elseworld story. That's a cool Elseworld story. That's fine. But to get a combined shared continuity that's going to lead to bigger and better books, I think that you have to be a little tighter than a hands-off carte blanche affair here. But we'll see. We'll see. And as I said, I think that is the kind of carrot to get creators to come in. If you say, oh, you're going to have to be tight on my continuity, that might turn some people off. What you do is bait and switch. You get them in, and then you tell them they have to deal with the continuity. But again, somebody like Kelly Thompson, who I don't feel like she seems to know a lot of the DC universe, even getting the DC feel, if you know what that means, quote unquote feel, to not have somebody helping her or doing, I don't know. I would be worried about that. And that is one of the things that I'm worried because, again, I'm also worried about some of the creative teams. You have to get big creators. You have to get like really big creators because, again, this is in my mind that effort to get people back and new readers to jump on the books that people aren't jumping onto anymore. So really what I think they really need to make sure of this to make it a success is the books have to be on time. You can't have any delays. Again, I mentioned the idea of the Earth One stuff. There are still people waiting for some Earth One books that were announced that never came out. So right there, that's a problem. Usually I'd say that the three, Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron, and Kelly Thompson, may not be people who delay a lot, but Jason Aaron's having his problems, so you got to keep him tight on it, but also really make these books connected. Make it this new, expanded type connected universe, and lead to an Absolute Justice League book, and then you're going to be hitting hard there. And really, again, make sure you have really big creators, get some great artists, get stuff that people will buy it just for that. Sight unseen, oh my God, they're on that book, I'm getting it. And maybe Scott Snyder on Batman is that, but I'm not thinking that Jason Aaron on Superman or Kelly Thompson on Wonder Woman is that must buy right away. But really what they need to do, I know this is crazy. You might end up thinking I'm insane for saying this, but what they really have to do is tell great stories. That's it. You just have to tell great stories. And the idea that they come in here with a clean slate for the most part, and it doesn't mean you have to change everything. It doesn't mean you have to have wacky stuff going on. Just make it so that you can tell great, heroic stories that people can get behind, and don't do anything nonsense that will end up where when you're writing it, knowing that somebody's going to fight you about it or do this, just start out by telling really cool superhero comic book stories. And I think that it will work. I think that it could get people back. And, I'm sure DC wouldn't want to think of, well, people will jump back on this and not go back to the regular deal. But it is kind of that gateway to maybe getting back to the main DCU if they're doing something good after the whole Absolute Power event. It looks like there's going to be a status quo change again. You got to get back to the basics. I think this could do it. I think that it could get some readers back. Not all of them. I know that there'll be people who will say, no, after what they did here or what they did to that character, whatever, I'll never go back. And that's fine. They'll never get you then. And then, that's kind of out of the equation. But there are some people waiting to look. And I do think that the way that the Marvel Ultimate stuff has hit might actually get people to be like, well, I didn't think I was going to ever buy another Spider-Man book, but boy, maybe I'll read a Scott Snyder Batman. I remember that Court of the Owls stuff was pretty cool. I'll go back to that. Oh my God, Jason Aaron, I'm not the biggest, but Superman, he actually did okay on that Bizarro. I'll check it out. Kelly Thompson, who knows? I'm not even going to say. I'll be reading and reviewing it if that's the case, but I hope that it is good. I hope that they're all really good and get people back. But let me know if this is something that could get you back, if this is something that will get you back. Are you excited about it? Do you kind of roll your eyes at it? Whatever. And if you are excited, or even if you say, well, I wouldn't come back for that lineup, give me the lineup that would get you back. Give me some of the creators that could get you to come back. We could have kind of a fun little fantasy type discussion. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.